Morning. Yes. So now with whole sound. Good morning, everybody. I work at Deutsche Bank. I'm a lead engineer, so I am one of you. Um, I used to develop in Java some years ago, and then somehow I got into the cultural aspects of being a developer because I love to develop, to have the time to concentrate in what I do, and I didn't want to take care of unnecessary tasks. I didn't want to take care of filling Excels with how my application would behave in the next 20 years or something like that. That's how I came to Deutsche Bank. I come from Ecuador in South America. It was somehow a coincidence that I ended up in Germany. I did an MBA in Germany, and then I decided to stay after some years. And now I lead the DevOps transformation in the bank. So what does DevOps mean? We have like 200,000 definitions of DevOps if you Google it. But many of the definitions have to do with automating your delivery pipeline. You talk about amazing ways of releasing 15,000 times a day into production, hassle-free. Nobody notices even if there are mistakes. But there are some aspects to DevOps that are more difficult to tackle because we love technology. Now with the technologies we have, we don't need to worry about releasing 15,000 times a day into production. You configure your delivery pipeline. Doesn't matter if you use GitLab, Jenkins, you use OpenShift, native Kubernetes, Docker, Helm, I don't know. There are 1,000 ways of having everything as code, having disaster recovery, high availability, producing totally cool dashboards in Grafana, monitoring every step along the way of what you do, doing self-healing mechanisms so you are never called on the weekend or at night. But then there is another aspect, that is, how do we work together? Because an application is not just a piece of code. It's the humans that work in that team to make a great product. And the talk today is about how to make great products faster. So a little bit about Deutsche Bank. I don't know how many of you know the bank, but we are a global bank with a global banking license. That means we can do every sort of business around the globe. We are present in many, many countries. We have more than 90,000 colleagues around the globe. We have almost every culture in our portfolio, and we have definitely every technology, from COBOL until the latest, I don't know, Python. We have everything. So we do a lot of transactions, very critical transactions a day, and with Deutsche Bank, it's not available for some minutes. Sometimes the world can have a problem. So we need to be very careful if we want to release 15,000 times a day, that we don't put anyone in trouble. So what is going in the industry? The financial industry is going under a lot of pressure to consolidate. We have a lot of cool fintechs that have totally crazy and cool ideas that are much more interesting than our traditional products. But at the same time, people trust a partner that you know will not mess up with your data, will not sell your data to someone just to get a little bit of revenue, and also someone that will not walk away with your savings. So that is our competitive advantage. At the same time, we have to comply to more and more and more regulations. And even though we also have crazy ideas about totally cool products, we need to be careful on how we do it because everybody is watching. On the other hand, the technology is available as never before. There are some trends that help us achieve the high availability, the disaster recovery, the service level agreements that we need in order to have a very reliable product. On the other hand, our customers use Tinder going on the train. They look for their partner wherever they are. They sweep right if they are interested in meeting someone. They sweep left if they are not interested in meeting someone. They book their holidays while walking. So they book Airbnb, they book the ticket. In 10 minutes on the way home, they have a huge holiday planned. And they expect the same experience with banking. And at the same time, we as employees, we also use all those digital channels. We order food along the way, so when we are home, the groceries are waiting for us at the door. We also order taxis. 2 clicks and the taxi comes in 2 minutes. So we also expect from our working space exactly the same smooth experience. But then, what does this experience mean? It means people behind the services, they act as a team. People behind those great things that we like are creating great products together, are not blaming each other when something doesn't work. They are not saying, okay, that's not my problem. I'm a developer. If the service is not available in production, it's somebody else's problem. That is not a great product. A great product is when, if your product has a problem, everybody raises the hands high and says, how can I help? Is there something I can do? Is there something I can fix? Is there a self-healing thing that I can do so we are not in this situation again? And that's what DevOps is all about. The technology is there. Great engineers know how to use the technology. Now we need to use a better way of working to achieve this. So in a highly regulated world as the financial industry, we need to making the right thing very easy. So if we have developers, reliability engineers, or the traditional operators, we need to make the experience of all those humans along the software delivery lifecycle a great experience. And they need to work at what they do best. Like we engineers, we like to code. We like to test. We like to see how our things behave. But we don't like to fill Excels. We don't like to raise tickets. So all those things need to be easy. So then we are compliant with everything we need to comply. And we can concentrate in being great engineers. That means professional work. It means you just don't code like there's no tomorrow without doing test cases. Because either you do BDD or TDD, and testing is part of your DNA. You don't release software into production without having the right quality metrics. You also don't do it without having the right scans from malware or known vulnerabilities. You do your job professional because we are engineers. We are the same kind of humans that build bridges and rockets, but we do it in software. And that's our responsibility. So my job in the bank is to make sure that doing the right thing is the easiest thing. So no one has to worry about doing it correctly and being able to release into production when they want. So if they want to do it 15,000 times a day, the target is they will be able to do it. But how do we achieve that? That is not a technological problem. That's a cultural problem. And this is where we always have this fight. Oh, with developers, we are the sunshine. We come with all our coolest ideas. We bring this company to the best the company can be. But oh my God, the data protection guys, the legal guys, the operators, I don't know, everybody else is on the way. On the other hand, the legal operators, data protection, they are, oh my God, we are the heroes here. Because, oh my God, all those developers come with crazy ideas, and we are the ones that save the day. We come and we fix it. We stop it just before it comes into production and ruins our life. And having that kind of culture doesn't make you release 15,000 times a day for a great product. That kind of culture makes you release once a quarter for a okay-ish experience product. And that's exactly what we are tackling. We are going along a DevOps transformation. The goal of the DevOps transformation is to create one team. So people working in that team, they are responsible from idea to production. So when they sit with the business owners of the product, they also discuss how this product will behave in production. How many concurrent users can the product support? What happens if half of the architecture goes away? Which kind of self-healing do we need to have a great experience? We focus on the customer, and the whole team focuses on building a great product. They don't discuss whether I'm a developer, that's not my job. They discuss about who is the best human for the task. So if the team has a great designer, you don't put the great designer to fill in Excels. You put the great designer to do great designs. And if someone wants to do a task that someone else believes they can do it better, they can discuss about it. If you think, when you are working in a small company, in a startup, there's no one to hide behind. And if you are there and you are discussing how to make your product great, you don't let the wrong human take the task. If you believe someone else would be better to do it, you fight for it because you care. And that's what we are trying to achieve. We have many products already running, and you build it, you run it. We are using the Spotify model. So we are creating squads, tribes, some chapters, and that is a huge revolution for a financial industry, where people were used to their roles, to have hats that don't allow them to go beyond their current responsibility. We are making people accountable, because if I have the accountability, I raise to my standards. I raise to what is right. If I have someone controlling me, I just meet the control. I don't do more, because even somehow your intrinsic motivation disappears and your extrinsic motivation kicks in, and you say, okay, what's the control? And that's how I develop. Do I need to meet only these quality metrics because the control function says? Then I do that, even though it is not meaningful. The moment people take accountability, they think about what they do. They want to be the best. So how many of you are in a Stack Overflow? You want to be the best. You want to make a contribution. The same thing is what we are trying to do. So for that, people developing, even operators want to have a better job. No one wants to sit down there and look at the monitoring that somebody else did to see whether you are facing a tsunami on Sunday morning. They also want to be in control of their own future. They want to learn to develop, or they want to become engineers. And then they are all hungry to take accountability. We've been coaching also our management. So all our bosses need to know that if you want people to take accountability, you need a self-organized organization. You cannot organize them. You cannot tell them what to do. You don't get great people to tell them what to do. And that's a difference in management, and also a difference for the people. Because many of us are used to be told what to do. And the moment the borders disappear and then you can do what you think you need to do, it's complicated. It takes time. That's why the DevOps transformation was a technological transformation for us. We are more or less done with the technological transformation. All tools are there. If people want, they could release in production many times a day. The problem is a cultural problem, because people have not come together. And that's where we are, and that's what I say. This year is our 3rd year of the DevOps transformation, and it will be the hardest, because we removed every technological blocker along the way, even some regulatory blockers. But now it is up to us, to the humans. And we don't have parameters that we can reset overnight and then we wake up with the right configuration. Sadly, we don't work like that. So my job is to convince everyone that we can self-organize, that we can take the accountability, we can take that flag, hold it high and say, we will do it as a team, and it doesn't matter what happens, we are all accountable. Because out of fear, sometimes we need someone to blame. So when we have an outage where many million customers cannot log in, we are actually hoping maybe that a vendor was there. So we can say, don't know, we did it perfect, but the vendor messed up or something. We want all our colleagues to not be afraid, to trust their delivery pipelines, to trust their roll-forward strategy or roll-back strategy, and not be afraid. Not be afraid to say, yes, I'm accountable, and we will fix it. So for that, we say, we all love development, so everyone becomes an engineer, and everything becomes code. And at that moment, we have absolutely no need to be afraid again. We can relax, we can enjoy the spirit of startup, we can enjoy this bonding that brings people together when you have a great product in the market. Because if you know you're working for a product and you hear the reviews, you are more engaged to make your product great. If you know why you are coming to the office every day, you make your product great. And that's what we want to do. It is still a long way. That's why I call it is a roller coaster, because sometimes we are up high and we feel like everything will be easy, and we go down enjoying the ride, and then at some time we hit the bottom again and we need to carry the whole organization up again. But if that's what it takes, that's what we are going to achieve. And we as engineers, like you, me, everyone that knows how to code, we need to live up to our standards. We know what professional engineering is. So if we work somewhere, we need to be professional. We need to not hide behind something and say, I don't know, my product owner only wanted features. I said we have no monitoring and we will be flying blind, but they don't care. Because if you are creating a product and you take accountability for that product, you don't go blind into production. If you think about the customer, you say it is not fair with the customer to bring an application live where the whole people behind the application is blind, where we need to wait for someone to call. So that's our job as engineers. We need to be as professional as possible. So we make this one team, one goal a reality. And with that, do you have any questions?
Hello. Just one question. During your DevOps transformation, what was the most difficult challenge you were faced with, and how did you manage to overcome it as a team or as an organization?
Well, we had two types of challenges. The first one was that as a big organization, we have a lot of outsourcing. And some of our contracts are not compatible with you build it, you run it. So the most difficult thing we did was to change one of our biggest vendor contracts. And we made it. It took us 6 months of reading humongous amount of legal documents, some in English, some in German. But we made it, and that's what I say. When you want to change something, you can do it. Sometimes it's difficult. but it is possible. On the other hand, one of the other biggest challenge was it's not my problem. Because many people say, I want to release, I want to answer no questions. But at the same time, they don't want the accountability. They say, okay, but I want that guy to be called on Sunday morning, not me. And to work through that is one of the biggest challenges we have now.
Okay, so this question might be a little bit out of place, but I'm just trying to understand regarding this. It's not my problem challenge. Okay, so let's say so let's say I'm just a beginner. I don't know, entry level guy, just finished college and just got hired and stuff like that. So I'm writing SQL, right? And all of a sudden, someone comes to me and says, okay, you have to write Java, and you also have to do unit testing, and you also have to, I don't know, design a database that will work and stuff like that. And all for the same amount of money. The manager won't give me a raise or something. Maybe, I don't know, how would you say you would solve this issue? To make the team work, like, I don't know, you know.
So, well,
Hey.
so, well, you have very well described our day-to-day challenges. Some in entry level, some in more senior level. But what I would say is, if you are a junior, you are hungry, you want to learn. Actually, you have been given, if you are in a good team, the free opportunity to raise your seniority level, to understand how some other things work. And then what I say and what we are trying to do is you need to move away from these individual compensations. You need to start compensating the team and stop looking at who is entry level or who is not entry level. You need to see about the contribution in the team. And you need to motivate the team to help the entry levels reach a certain maturity level so your life is easier. Because the moment you are not called on Sunday morning or Friday night because something doesn't work, you are happier. So every entry level is somehow a little liability. Because when someone makes a mistake, the whole team is there to be called. It's not only the mistake of that one, because you are a team. If someone makes a submit or a pull request, someone else reviews the code, right? And you make sure you do the testing, the unit test. So it should be that in a team effort, you prevent these things from happening. And if we manage to change the compensation, because that is what we are fighting for, we are fighting to change the compensation scheme so it is a team compensation. And that means if the team is doing great because they cooperate, they share the knowledge, they raise above the standards, then they will all have a good compensation. That means for that entry level is totally cool. If he manages or she manages to close the gap and the team does better, the whole team will get a better compensation. And then it will come eventually more money. So that's how I would say, is a good way of tackling that problem.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you something. I'm thinking that as also in marriages, not all relationships are good. So you say that the team is very important, but sometimes, even if they are great developers, some people in the team, even if in the beginning the relationship was good, it might become not good. And what happens then? Because when you have these problems in the team relations, then the whole team has a problem, I would guess. And how do you fix it on management level? Or where should this be fixed?
Well, I'm always a fan of retrospectives. So if a team is having trouble, it will show up in one of the retrospectives. If the team has a mature, agile way of working, they will do regularly that. And as in a marriage, the moment you see that your personal problems are interfering with the goals you want to achieve, you need to rethink whether that person or that team is still to be kept as it is. But I think that most of those problems show up in the regular retrospective if the team trusts themselves. So the first challenge for management or the product owner or the team lead, or give it a name, the one that would have the chance to prioritize the activities of the team, because you need one to put priorities. Even in a self-organization, they can take turns or have someone that is appointed to that. That person needs to see how the team is working. That person needs to create that trusted environment when people feel safe to address the things that they care about, to have conflict, but healthy conflict. And the moment things are unhealthy, you need to address them very quick. Because in a small team that has accountability, they don't have people to hide away. Like if you are in a humongous organization where you just do development and throw things over the fence, you can hide behind people for your accountability. So you are not confronted with it. If you are in a smaller team, you need to address those issues very quick. Otherwise, the performance really disappears. And that's one of the challenges of the leaders of that time of self-organized organizations, because they need to be quicker with their decisions, and they need to pay significantly more attention to those things than they do today.
Okay, so an additional question is, how did you get executive level management to buy into your idea? And also, how do you keep them engaged and show them that it works?
That's also a very good question, thank you. How did we do it? When DevOps started, that means in more or less September 2015, we saw something. We started our Agile transformation in November 2014, more or less. So we convinced business that we, with these funny t-shirts and our colorful things, we are allowed to enter those business meetings, even though they were not so sure that we add value if we enter those discussions. So we convinced them to open the door. They had to learn new language because they had to interact with us, that we talk about, I don't know, number of users, concurrent users. We talk about how to make high availability. We think about other things when we are talking with business. But business did the effort. And for a traditional bank, that meant a lot. But what happened? They were talking with us, and we were doing prototypes in no time. So we had working prototypes like we had never before. We even created a cool big data platform where we were able to get insights about the stuff. And then business was like, yes, this is working. We are actually working together with these funny guys, but it's working. But then they said, okay, this is good enough. Let's move it into production. And we were like, that will take us like 12 months because we need to order the infrastructure, and then when it is there, we need to order the certificates, and when the certificates are there, we need to order the users, and when the users are there, and then business was like, then it is worthless. We are working Agile, we do 2 weeks sprints, and we are not winning anything. So then business said, you know what? We've seen the light. It is totally cool to work like this. Now we understand why some things don't work. We get working stuff very quick. But if we need, after seeing the light, we need to wait 12 months, then we don't want to invest on it. So then this new DevOps trend was on the market. we had a quick look at it and we said, okay, we will build a delivery pipeline that is fully automated, so then we can reach at least a user acceptance test environment very quick. We invested heavily in OpenShift, so we had a containers strategy. We also invested heavily in having like promotions from one environment to the other that work automatically. That took us like 3 months to have the first running environments. And then when we explained, you know what, the only way to have idea to production in a day is doing DevOps, the whole management team said, we do it, because they saw what Agile means. They saw the light. They had that flavor of looking at working stuff in days. So they said, okay, if we do whatever you say now that is needed, call it DevOps, call it, I don't know, the Pepito strategy, we will do it. And that's how we got the buy-in from management. And what we do is we produce a DevOps State of the Nation report every quarter where every team assess themselves. And they say, how am I working? So they assess themselves in culture. That means how they are working together for the whole life cycle. And it is a self-assessment. No one assesses them. They rate themselves. We created like 5 categories. And we present that to our management every quarter. And we say, okay, this is where we were 1 quarter ago. This is where we are today. And we have an army of volunteers, because once you've seen the light, you don't go back to darkness, to your Gollum cave where you used to work alone. You come, you engage, you've seen different ways of working. So every team we've managed to push over the edge is totally engaged to share the knowledge, to bring more people along. And management sees it. We have significantly less escalations because the teams that are working together don't complain to management about the other team member. They maximum complain to their team lead or product owner, but things stay in the team. So that's how we made it. It is not easy because all our bosses need to change the way they manage us, because we are not to be managed. We are to be motivated. You need to be like the host of a party. You need to ask who's thirsty, who needs what. So it is a completely different way of behaving. But we are on the way. I cannot say we are done, because recently we were in the bottom of the roller coaster again. Our management also changes every now and then. But I can encourage you, if you start taking accountability, things start to work, and no one will tell you to go back to the way it was before.
Andra, it's making some signs there that we should go to the next talk. So if you have more questions, please meet Cecilia in the hallway and I don't know, do some interesting ideas exchanges.
So thanks a lot.
Give her a